Colony lights always looked broken from the upper tiers, like dying stars refusing to surrender. I had seen them every night since the fall of Arcana Station, their glow flickering across the rust-stained metal corridors of Syrian District. A city built for survival, not beauty. I didn't belong here. I had once been a soldier, a name spoken in hushed tones on battlefronts. Now I was just Briston, drifting, forgotten, hiding behind cheap whiskey and the silence of rented quarters. But that night, her birthday night, everything changed. I heard her before I saw her, small footsteps splashing in the shallow gutter streams. When I turned, I saw a figure, an alien girl, no older than 7 or 8 by human measure. Her skin shimmered like moonlight brushed with emerald, veins glowing faintly beneath the surface. Her eyes, bright, impossible violet, watched me with a courage that seemed too heavy for her fragile frame. She stopped in front of me, holding a ragged doll with half its face missing. Her voice soft, trembling, carried across the narrow alley. "Sir, my mom is so lonely. It's her birthday tonight. Will you please be my dad?" Her words shattered something inside me. I wanted to laugh it off. I wanted to turn away. But the girl didn't blink, didn't flinch. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't childish fantasy. Her plea carried the weight of years, of nights spent watching her mother cry in silence, of birthdays without candles, of a life carved hollow by loneliness. My throat tightened. I crouched down, meeting her glowing gaze. "What's your name, little star?" She hugged the doll closer, as if it were her shield. "Gamora." The name struck me like a blade. Ancient, powerful, unlike any I had ever heard. "Where's your mother, Gamora?" I asked gently. She pointed down the street to a building whose upper windows flickered with a dying amber glow. Music tried to escape from inside, but broke apart like static, lonely and hollow. "She's there. She won't celebrate. She says she doesn't deserve it. But I want her to smile just once. You look strong. You look kind. If you came with me, maybe she'd believe she's not alone anymore." Her innocence twisted my heart. I had buried too many comrades, broken too many promises. Yet here stood this child, asking me to step into something I thought I no longer had the right to touch. Family. For reasons I didn't fully understand, I nodded. "All right, Gamora. Lead the way." We walked together through the fractured streets of Syrian. Neon signs buzzed with failing energy. Drones hummed above, scanning for debts unpaid, crimes unsolved. Yet beside me, Gamora walked like she was carrying hope itself, her small hand brushing against mine every so often, as if testing if I was real. When we reached the building, the door creaked open with a reluctant groan. The apartment smelled of fading incense and cold metal. Inside, the walls were lined with relics of another era. Holograms frozen mid-frame, uniforms sealed in dust, medals left to tarnish. At the center of the room stood her, Gamora's mother. She was unlike anyone I had ever seen. Tall, with skin shimmering like polished obsidian, threaded with faint silver lines. Her long hair cascaded in threads of deep sapphire, catching the dim light and scattering it like shattered glass. Her eyes, however, were the kind that held galaxies of sorrow. She turned, startled, when she saw me. Her lips parted as though my presence was a memory she thought lost. "Gamora," she whispered sharply. "Who is this?" The little girl tightened her grip on her doll and stood bravely between us. "Mom, this is Briston. I brought him because you shouldn't be alone." "Not tonight." Her mother's gaze lingered on me. Pain, curiosity, and something unspoken danced across her face. Finally, she exhaled, almost a laugh but closer to a sigh. "You shouldn't be here, stranger. You don't know what I am. What we've lost." I stepped forward, heart pounding. "Maybe I don't, but your daughter does, and she believes you deserve someone beside you tonight." The silence that followed felt endless. Then slowly she turned away, walking toward a small table where a single unlit candle stood. She struck a match with trembling fingers. The flame wavered, fragile, casting her shadow tall against the wall. "My name is Lyrasha," she said finally, voice breaking. "And if you've come here, then fate has already marked you. Her words unsettled me. I was about to ask what she meant when the entire building shuddered. Windows rattled. Lights blinked out. A siren screamed from the streets below. Gamora dropped her doll, eyes wide with terror. "They've found us," she whispered. I grabbed her hand instinctively. "Who's they?" Larasha's face hardened into something fierce, almost warrior-like. She looked directly at me, and for the first time, I saw the fire behind her sorrow. "The Syndicate." Before I could react, the walls split open with a deafening crash, and armored figures descended through the ceiling. Black exosuits gleaming with crimson insignias. Energy rifles locked on us instantly. One of them spoke, his voice amplified through a synthetic mask. "Larasha of the Fallen Line, your time is over. Surrender the child." Gamora's small hand squeezed mine with desperate strength. Larasha stepped forward, shielding her daughter with her own body. Her voice was steady, unyielding. "You'll have to kill me first." The soldiers raised their weapons. The air thickened with impending violence. And in that instant, standing between a lonely mother, her alien daughter, and death itself, I realized I wasn't just a bystander anymore. I was already part of their war. Larasha's secret past, why the Syndicate wants Gamora, and how Briston gets pulled deeper into their world of betrayal, love, and war. Blaster fire erupted before I could breathe. The Syndicate soldiers advanced in perfect formation, their crimson insignias glowing like scars against the black of their armor. Larasha moved faster than my eyes could follow, her hands ignited with strands of light, raw energy curling around her fingers, like fire summoned from another world. She struck first. Bolts of searing brilliance flew from her palms, tearing through helmets and sending soldiers crashing into the walls. Gamora screamed, clutching my leg as I dragged her behind a collapsed shelf. The smell of burning metal filled the air, sharp and suffocating. I'd seen war, fought across dying stars, but never like this. Larasha wasn't just defending her daughter. She was a storm unleashed, fury sculpted into flesh. And yet, there was something terrifying in the way she fought, as if she wasn't just killing to survive, but to silence something that haunted her. "Briston, move!" she shouted, her voice a mix of command and desperation. I didn't hesitate. I pulled Gamora into my arms and ran through the smoke-filled corridor. Behind us, the battle raged. Metal against plasma, Larasha's cries merging with the Syndicate's mechanical roars. When I kicked open the exit hatch, the cold night swallowed us whole. Neon reflected off the rain-slicked streets, distorted by steam vents and flickering signs. Gamora's tiny arms clung to my neck as her tears wet my shoulder. "Where are we going?" I asked her, gasping for air. Her eyes shimmered with fear. "Anywhere but here." Larasha burst through the door. The sorrow in her gaze gave way to warmth. Dangerous, fragile warmth. "Why would you risk your life for us, Briston?" she asked quietly. I didn't know how to answer. Maybe because I was tired of running from ghosts. Maybe because a little girl's whisper pierced armor no bullet could. Or maybe because in Larasha's broken strength, I saw something I thought lost. Hope. The station groaned with shifting metal. A sound echoed through the tunnels. Distant footsteps, synchronized. My body stiffened. "They found us again," I muttered. But Larasha shook her head, her expression darkening. "No. This isn't the Syndicate." Gamora looked up nervously. "Then who?" The shadows moved at the far end of the tunnel. Figures stepped into the dim light, cloaked, silent, their faces hidden beneath metallic masks etched with crimson lines. Unlike Syndicate soldiers, they carried no rifles, only curved blades that hummed faintly with energy. Larasha's breath caught. She whispered one word, filled with dread. "The Veilborn." Before I could question her, the cloaked figures spoke in unison, their voices eerie, reverberating as if shared by one mind. "Larasha, child of the Fallen Line, the Syndicate will not claim you, because you already belong to us." Gamora gasped, clutching her doll tighter. I instinctively drew her close. Larasha's face drained of color. She staggered backward as though struck by an unseen force. "No!" she whispered, shaking her head violently. "Not you!" Not now. I looked between her and the masked figures, my pulse racing. What the hell is going on? I demanded. Larasha's eyes met mine, filled with a truth she had never wanted to speak. They're not strangers, Briston. They're the ones I betrayed to save Gamora. And now they've come to collect the Veilborn, raise their blades in perfect unison, their crimson etchings glowing like veins of fire. And in that moment I realized the Syndicate wasn't the only nightmare chasing us. Their history with Larasha, and how Briston becomes trapped in a web of betrayal where even Gamora's future hangs by a thread. The tunnel air chilled as the Veilborn advanced, their cloaks dragged along the ground like liquid shadows, blades humming with a rhythm that set my teeth on edge. Gamora clung to me, her small body trembling against my chest. Larasha stood frozen, as though paralyzed not by fear but by memory. I whispered urgently, Larasha, what are they? Her eyes stayed locked on the masked figures. The Syndicate's darkest hand. Ghosts made flesh. I thought I escaped them. I was wrong. The Veilborn moved closer, their voices speaking as one, resonant and metallic. You can't run from what you are, Larasha. The fallen line was bound to us long before the Syndicate ever rose. The child is the key. Hand her over or be erased. The words burned through me. My grip on Gamora tightened. You'll touch her over my dead body. The lead figure tilted its head slightly, the gesture unnervingly calm. That can be arranged. They struck. The blades hissed with energy, cutting arcs of crimson light through the tunnel. I rolled, clutching Gamora tight, as steel met stone, carving through walls as though they were paper. Larasha finally snapped from her trance. Her hands blazed with Orion flame, light pouring like rivers from her veins. She launched a wave of fire down the corridor, but the Veilborn didn't falter. Their cloaks shimmered, absorbing part of the blast, their movements inhumanly fluid. I ducked behind a rusted rail pillar, my heart hammering. I had fought armies, but this was different. These weren't soldiers. They were executioners. Gamora's voice trembled against me. Briston, why won't they stop? I swallowed hard. Because they don't know how. Larasha fought like desperation itself, each strike fierce, each breath a sacrifice. But for every blow she landed, the Veilborn came back stronger, faster. It was as if the shadows themselves replenished them. I knew staying hidden would only delay the inevitable. I couldn't just hold Gamora and hope Larasha could win a war she'd been losing for years. I set Gamora down gently, gripping her shoulders. Stay here. Don't move. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Her violet eyes filled with fear. But, Gamora, I said firmly, you asked me to be your dad. That means I fight for you. Always her lip quivered, but she nodded, clutching her doll so tightly its fabric tore. I stood, my fists clenching. My training surged back, the discipline of a soldier, the instincts buried but never lost. I grabbed a fallen blade from one of the Syndicate corpses still cooling near the door. It vibrated in my grip, as if alive. When the Veilborn lunged at Larasha again, I charged. The blade clashed with theirs in a burst of sparks. My arms shuddered under the impact, but I held firm. The Veilborn turned their masked faces toward me, and for the first time, their unified voice faltered. Human, why stand with her? Because she's not alone anymore. I twisted, driving the blade upward into the figure's chest. For a moment, I thought I'd won, but instead of bleeding, its body dissolved into smoke, reforming just behind me. It whispered at my ear, you cannot kill what is already dead. A cold hand gripped my arm. Pain shot through me like liquid fire burning my veins. I staggered, vision blurring. Larasha screamed, unleashing a surge of flame that tore the creature off me. She grabbed my shoulders, her face etched with panic. Briston, you can't fight them like this. They're not flesh. They're echoes, bound to the Syndicate's will. They'll drain you until nothing is left, her words barely registered. My body shook, but inside me, something else stirred, something that felt awake. The Veilborn advanced again, but before they struck, an explosion thundered from above. The tunnel ceiling cracked, debris raining down. A Syndicate dropship smashed through the surface, Engines roaring. Its searchlights blazed, pinning all of us in searing white. The soldiers who spilled out weren't cloaked. They were armored, ranked officers of the Syndicate, rifles aimed not just at Lyrasha, but at the Veilborn too. One officer's voice rang out, "Veilborn! You trespass! The child belongs to the Syndicate, not your cursed order." For the first time, the Veilborn hesitated. Their cloaks rippled as if the shadows themselves recoiled. I staggered to my feet, staring at the two forces. What the hell is going on? You're fighting each other? Lyrasha pulled me back, her voice sharp. They don't serve the same master. The Syndicate uses technology. The Veilborn serve something older, something far worse. Gamora whimpered, clutching her doll. Who's worse than them? Lyrasha didn't answer. Her silence was enough. The Syndicate and Veilborn clashed. Shadows against steel, energy bolts against crimson flame. The tunnel became a nightmare of screams and sparks. We fled through a side passage, running until my lungs burned and Gamora's sobs echoed in my skull. Finally, we stumbled into an old service chamber. Walls cracked, lights long dead. Lyrasha collapsed against the wall, her strength spent. I laid Gamora down gently, brushing her hair back. My mind reeled. Two enemies, both after the same child. But why? I turned to Lyrasha. Tell me everything. No more secrets. Her face glistened with sweat, her breathing shallow. She looked at me as if choosing whether I was worthy of the truth. Finally she spoke, her voice trembling. Gamora isn't just my daughter. She isn't just of the fallen line. She carries something inside her, something both the Syndicate and Veilborn crave. I leaned closer, heart pounding. What is it? Her lips parted, the words barely escaping. She carries the Orion core, the last living fragment of the flame. If she matures, she could either save this galaxy or burn it to ash. The chamber trembled violently before I could react. Steel split above us, light pouring through. A massive figure dropped down, 7 feet tall, half human, half machine, its face a twisted fusion of flesh and chrome. Its eyes glowed cold blue as it raised a colossal arm cannon toward us. Target located, it said in a voice that was both mechanical and human. Gamora, designated Orion core, will be extracted. Resistance will be eliminated. Gamora's terrified scream cut through the chamber, and I realized the Syndicate had unleashed something far worse than soldiers. They had unleashed a Cyberlord. The Cyberlord's cannon locked onto us, its blue glow painting the chamber in cold fire. I shoved Gamora behind me, blade clenched, though I knew it was useless. This was no soldier of flesh and blood. It was the Syndicate's nightmare-given form. The half-metal colossus stepped forward, voice reverberating in metallic monotone. Priority, extraction of Orion core. Designation, Gamora. Resistance. Obsolete Lyrasha staggered to her feet, sparks of Orion flame sparking weakly across her trembling hands. She had given nearly everything to survive the Veilborn, yet here stood a monster her power might not even dent. I turned to her, adrenaline drowning my fear. You can't fight this alone. We stand together, her eyes search mine. Fear, exhaustion, and something fragile flickering beneath. If we fail, Briston, there is no tomorrow for her. I tightened my grip on the blade. Then failure isn't an option. The Cyberlord raised its cannon and the world ignited. A torrent of plasma seared across the chamber, vaporizing the floor where we'd stood. I pulled Lyrasha down with me, heat licking the skin from my arm. Gamora shrieked, her small voice piercing through the chaos. I leapt up, charging the machine. My blade clashed against its metallic arm, sparks showering as steel scraped chrome. The impact rattled my bones, but I held firm. It swung its other arm, a piston-powered strike that hurled me across the chamber like a ragdoll. My back slammed into concrete, pain flashing white-hot. Before it could finish me, Lyrasha struck. She thrust both palms forward, unleashing a surge of Orion flame so bright it blinded me. The energy slammed into the Cyberlord, staggering it for the first time. Its voice distorted, glitching. Pected resistance. Recalibrating, I forced myself up, ribs screaming, and rushed to her side. Smoke curled from her arms, veins glowing like molten silver under her skin. She collapsed against me, her body trembling violently. "Don't let them take her," she whispered, voice cracking. I held her close, even as the Cyberlord advanced again, relentless. Gamora's sobs echoed as she clutched her doll, eyes wide with terror. The sight tore through me. I had promised to fight for her, to be the shield she begged for that night in the alley. I couldn't break that promise. I dragged Larasha behind cover, pressing my forehead against hers for just a heartbeat. "You're not alone anymore," I whispered. Her eyes softened, pain giving way to something warmer. In the chaos, the fire between us ignited, not of Orion flame, but of fragile, forbidden intimacy. A soldier and a widow, bound by loss, standing on the edge of annihilation. She leaned forward, her lips brushing mine, soft yet desperate, as if it might be the last kiss she'd ever give. It lasted only a moment, but in that moment, the world fell away. No syndicate, no Veilborn, just two broken souls finding light in ruins. And then reality crashed back. The Cyberlord roared, slamming its massive arm through the wall where we hid. Concrete shattered. I shoved Larasha clear, leaping back with my blade raised. I slashed at its cannon, sparks erupting as I struck a seam of exposed flesh. The Cyberlord staggered, its human side bleeding dark crimson beneath the chrome. It turned, eyes burning with hatred, not coded but felt. That was when I realized it wasn't just a machine, it was once a man. "Help! Me!" It rasped in a distorted human tone, just for a second. Then the metallic voice overrode it. "Terminate resistance." I froze, blade trembling. But before I could process it, the machine struck, sending me crashing back into Larasha. We tumbled together across the rubble, the world spinning. The chamber quaked violently, not from the Cyberlord, but from outside. A low rumble shook the foundations, growing louder by the second. Gamora's eyes went wide. "Mom, it's happening!" Larasha paled, horror overtaking her exhaustion. She grabbed my arm, nails digging into my skin. "They found us!" "The Syndicate fleet. They're bringing the Purge here." I blinked, trying to catch up. "The Purge?" Her lips trembled. "They'll erase the entire district to ensure no trace of Gamora escapes." The ceiling split apart, daylight flooding in as debris rained down. Outside, through the fracture, I saw it. Warships blotting out the sky, their cannons glowing with the same merciless light as the Cyberlord's weapon. Sarion wasn't just under attack. It was about to be wiped off the map. The Cyberlord's cannon recharged, its glow growing blinding. The warships above thundered, preparing to fire. Larasha clung to me, her face pressed to my chest, whispering, "If we die, they win." "Don't let them win," Gamora's scream cut through everything. "Briston!" And then the chamber collapsed, the Cyberlord lunging, the fleet's cannons firing, the world tearing apart. I had one choice to make. Shield Larasha, shield Gamora. Flames swallowed the district. Entire towers folded inward like paper, their metal skeletons shrieking as they collapsed. Through the thunder of falling stone, I carried Gamora under one arm, Larasha clinging to the other, our bodies breaking against rubble and fire as the purge descended. Above us, the Syndicate warships blotted out the stars. Their cannons fired in rhythm. Boom, 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 a grim heartbeat announcing the city's death. But the Cyberlord didn't burn. It strode through the inferno, skin melted from its jaw, revealing teeth fused with chrome, eyes flickering between human terror and mechanical hatred. It wanted Gamora. It wanted her alive. We dashed into the skeletal remains of a cathedral, neon light filtering through shattered stained glass. I collapsed behind a crumbling altar, chest heaving, lungs seared with ash. Larasha gripped my shoulders, her hair matted with blood and soot. "They won't stop," she gasped. "They'll burn the world if they must." Gamora clung to me, trembling. Her voice was barely audible. "Dad, I'm scared." The word froze me. Dad, not a slip, not a plea this time. She meant it. Despite the terror, despite everything, she had already chosen me. And in that fragile moment, I swore I'd never let her go. But swears don't stop wars. A metallic voice thundered from above, amplified across the city ruins. Resistance is futile. Deliver the Orient child. Preserve your suffering. Larash's nails dug into my arm. That isn't just a cyberlord. The cathedral shook as holograms ignited in the smoke. Faces of chrome and flame appeared. Dozens, hundreds, a council of digital immortals. They hovered above us, translucent yet suffocatingly present. Each one a former syndicate general, their souls uploaded into infinite code, bodies abandoned for eternal dominion. Their eyes glowed with algorithmic hunger. We are the Syndicate Eternal. The child's flame belongs to us. Gamora whimpered. The stained glass behind us cracked as another cannon blast shook the earth. I stood gripping my blade, though my hands trembled. You'll have to kill me first. The immortals laughed in unison, mocking, mechanical, endless. One of them, a woman with half her skull missing and data streams pouring from the wound, leaned forward in her flickering hologram. We already have. Pain stabbed into my skull. My vision blurred. My muscles seized. It felt like fire poured through my veins. I collapsed, screaming. Larasha rushed to me, but even she recoiled at the sight of my skin rippling with alien code. The immortal woman spoke again. You are infected, Briston. Did you think you found this war by chance? You were chosen, engineered, seeded with code before birth. You are our vessel. My head pounded. Memories I never lived flashed before me. Cold laboratories, endless tubes, a shadowed figure implanting data into an unborn child. Me. No, I rasped. You're lying. But deep down, I knew they weren't. The cyberlord tore through the cathedral wall, flames framing its hulking body. It extended a mechanical hand toward Gamora. Child, come. The man is compromised. His purpose ends tonight, Gamora screamed, clutching me tighter. No! He's my dad! That word again. Fierce this time, not fragile. I forced myself up, every muscle tearing as I fought the virus burning through me. Larasha's Aryan flame flared, but she was too drained. Her hands shook, sparks failing before they could ignite. She looked at me with a helpless, broken expression. Briston, I can't stop them. I locked eyes with her, blood in my mouth, rage in my chest. Then we'll die trying. The cyberlord struck. I swung with everything left, blade clashing against its arm. Sparks exploded. My infected veins surged with unnatural strength, each strike faster, harder, wilder. The machine faltered. For the first time, I was more than a man. But the immortals watched, their hollow laughter echoing. They wanted this. They wanted me to become the weapon they built. And in that realization, terror struck deeper than any wound. I wasn't saving Gamora. I was playing their game. The ceiling collapsed. Rubble crashed down. A shock wave hurled us apart. Gamora ripped from my arms, screaming. Through the smoke, I saw her, dragged into the grip of the cyberlord. Her doll hit the floor, burning. No! I roared, hurling myself forward. But chains of digital light burst from the immortal's holograms, binding my limbs. I collapsed, pinned, as Gamora was lifted toward the shattered roof. Larasha crawled across the floor, blood streaking her face, reaching with shaking hands. Gamora! The child screamed, fighting, thrashing, her voice breaking with terror. Dad! Don't let them take me! I struggled, veins glowing with the virus, chains digging into my flesh. The immortals' voices merged into one. She belongs to eternity. You, Briston, belong to us. The warships above fired again, light swallowing the sky. The cyberlord ascended into the flames carrying Gamora, her screams echoing until they cut off into silence. Larasha collapsed against me, sobbing, her flame extinguished. And I lay in the ruins, broken, burning, realizing the truth. They hadn't just stolen her. They had stolen the last piece of my humanity. The betrayer's kiss will reveal Larasha's hidden past with the Syndicate, a shattering betrayal, and the first time Briston must decide whether to kill the woman he loves. I remember the silence after Gamora was taken. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of absence. The ruins still burned. The Syndicate's cannons still thundered. yet all I heard was her scream echoing inside me. Larasha sat beside me in the rubble, her face buried in her hands. Her flame was gone, her aura dim. When she finally raised her eyes, they were swollen red, her lips trembling. "We can't win," she whispered. "Not against them." The words pierced me deeper than any wound. She wasn't just broken, she was surrendering. I staggered to my feet, the infection burning in my veins. "Don't say that." "She's still alive, and I will tear this galaxy apart to bring her back." Her silence was heavier than stone. She looked at me as if she wanted to speak, but stopped. That hesitation haunted me more than the firestorm above. We escaped the ruins, following hidden tunnels beneath Sarion. The passages were lined with ancient steel and crumbling stone, relics of an older empire buried beneath the Syndicate's reign. I marched ahead, blade dragging sparks, while Lyrasha trailed behind in silence. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Why didn't they kill you?" I asked, voice rough. She flinched. "What?" "They had the perfect chance. You were drained, broken, yet the immortals spared you. They knew you." Her lips parted, but no answer came. Only silence. And in that silence, my blood turned to ice. Hours later, we emerged into an abandoned hangar. Broken ships lay scattered like bones, their hulls covered in dust and vines. I searched for one that still had a pulse of energy, but my thoughts kept circling back to her hesitation. She approached me, arms crossed, avoiding my gaze. "You should rest," she murmured. "Rest?" I spat. "They took her. They burned a city to ash. And you want me to rest?" Her eyes snapped to mine then, fierce and pained. "You don't understand. You never understood what they are." "Then explain it to me," I shouted, the walls trembling with my fury. "Explain why they called you by name when they dragged Gamora away." She froze, color draining from her face. And in that silence, I had my answer. I advanced on her, blade trembling in my grip. "How long have you been their pawn?" Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't retreat. Instead, she reached for me, her fingers brushing my infected arm. "It wasn't like that," she whispered. "I was theirs. Before you. Before Gamora." The hangar seemed to tilt beneath me. "What are you saying?" Her voice cracked, raw and broken. "Gamora's father wasn't killed by the Syndicate. He was the Syndicate." The words shattered me. "He was one of the digital immortals," she continued, tears streaking her face. "He created her to be their weapon." I was bound to him, Briston. I was part of their design. I tried to run, tried to hide her, but... Her voice faltered, and then the final blow. They let me escape. They wanted me to raise her until the right time. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. You've been lying since the beginning." "I wanted to protect her," she cried, stepping closer. "I wanted to protect you once I saw what you were, what they made you. I never planned to fall in love with you. That wasn't supposed to happen." Her hands cupped my face, trembling. "But I did. And now everything is ruined." I shoved her back, rage boiling in my chest. "You kissed me knowing you carried their chains. You held me knowing you were part of their trap. Was anything real?" Her lips trembled. "This is real. US. Whatever's left of us." And then she kissed me, desperate, violent, a kiss that tasted like ash and betrayal. I hated her. I loved her. My blade pressed against her spine even as my lips pressed against hers. And for a heartbeat, I wanted to believe her. But when the kiss broke, I saw it, the faint glow of a Syndicate implant flickering at the base of her neck, hidden beneath her skin, but alive, pulsing with every beat of her heart. I stepped back, blade raised. "You're still theirs." She shook her head furiously. "No, I cut myself off. I severed the link." The glow brightened, as if mocking her words, and then a voice echoed through the hangar. Not mine, not hers. "Larasha, you were never free." Her eyes widened in horror as the implant flared, and her body jerked violently. The Syndicate had reactivated her. She screamed, collapsing to her knees, hands clawing at her throat. I rushed forward but froze as her eyes snapped open. No longer hers. Silver light blazed within them, and from her lips came a voice I knew too well, the immortal who had taunted me before. Briston, we told you. She belongs to us. Briston must choose whether to kill the woman he loves to save Gamora, or surrender to the infection and become the Syndicate's weapon himself. Larasha's body convulsed in my arms, her screams hollow, distorted, as the Syndicate's voice poured through her. The silver fire in her eyes wasn't hers, it was theirs. Release her, I roared, pressing my blade against the implant glowing at her neck. The Immortal's voice answered through her lips. You wouldn't dare. You love her too much. That is why you are weak. Larasha's own voice broke through, raw and trembling. Briston, do it. End this before I become the blade they drive through you. Her plea gutted me. She wanted me to kill her, to end the only fragile love I'd ever found. But my arms refused to move. The Cathedral of Ruins shook again, the fleet's cannons tearing the ground apart outside. Warships descended, shadows blotting out the burning sky. I saw them through the fractured roof, hundreds of Syndicate dropships deploying like metal locusts. And in the distance, on the lead ship's platform, Gamora stood. Bound in chains of light, Orion energy bleeding from her small frame, feeding the Syndicate's war engines. Her scream tore through the chaos. Dad! The word ripped the last hesitation from me. I turned back to Larasha, my heart tearing itself apart. She was trembling, fighting the control, but the Syndicate's laughter echoed inside her skull. I won't kill you, I whispered. Her eyes widened. Then they'll win. No, I growled, pressing my forehead to hers. They don't win unless we give them everything. And you're still in there. For a heartbeat, I saw her. The woman, not the puppet. And she kissed me, desperate, fiery, real. But when the kiss broke, her body stiffened. The silver flared brighter. The immortal voice sneered, touching. Now watch her kill you, Larasha screamed as her arm jerked upward, Orion flame bursting from her palm. I rolled aside, the blast tearing a crater in the floor. I couldn't fight her, but I couldn't let her kill me either. I dodged strike after strike, the infection in my veins amplifying my reflexes. Yet every block, every step back, felt like a dagger in my chest. Fight it, Larasha, I begged, voice breaking. You're stronger than them. For a moment her flame faltered. Her eyes flickered back to normal, tears burning down her cheeks. I can't, she whispered. Yes, you can, I shouted, charging forward, grabbing her wrists, forcing her hands down. You taught me what it means to fight for something worth dying for. Don't let them take that away. Her body convulsed, torn between me and them. The glow surged, then dimmed, then surged again. And then she whispered the words that shattered me. I love you. Enough to let you go before I could stop her. She turned her flame inward, straight into her own heart. The explosion of light swallowed us both. I was thrown back, blinded by Orion fire. The blast vaporized the implant, severing her from the Syndicate, but at a cost. When the light dimmed, she lay crumpled on the ground, motionless. Her chest was scorched, her breathing faint. I crawled to her, gathering her in my arms. No, no, no. Stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open. She smiled weakly, blood on her lips. Find her. Save Gamora. Promise me. My throat locked. I promise. And with that, her body went still. The woman who betrayed me, loved me and broke me, was gone. Grief twisted into fury. The infection inside me surged like wildfire, veins blazing with unnatural light. My blade pulsed, resonating with the virus. I stood, trembling, and looked to the sky where Gamora screamed in chains. The Syndicate thought they had broken me, but they had forged something else, something they couldn't control. I stormed out into the burning streets as dropships descended. Soldiers of chrome and flesh swarmed. I cut through them like shadow and flame, every strike fueled by rage, grief, love. Their bullets seared, but my infection healed. Their blades struck, but I struck harder. I carved a path of ruin toward the lead ship. Towers collapsed behind me, the battlefield becoming a graveyard of Syndicate steel. And through it all, Gamora's cries pulled me forward. At last I reached the platform. The digital immortals hovered above, laughing in metallic chorus. Gamora writhed in her chains, light draining from her little body. I raised my blade, veins glowing brighter than their warships. I'm coming for her, I growled, and I'll burn eternity itself if I must. The immortal woman who once taunted me leaned forward, her face flickering in static. You already belong to us, Briston. Every strike you make feeds the code we placed in you.